What's up guys, Kurt Gibson here. Today I'm going to go over the 9 most common marking mistakes that I see in Ultimate Frisbee. Alright, so the number 1 common marking mistake I see in Ultimate Frisbee is having your hands down here by your legs, right? So if my hands are down here by my legs, Chris can easily throw a pass right here, or if he kind of goes over the backhand side, I have to have my hands go up against gravity to stop that throw. What we should be doing is keep your hands up into where the primary throwing lanes are. So if Chris tries to throw a flick, my hand is right here in that area, and then if he moves over to the backhand side, my hand is here. So again, don't put your hands down here, put your hands out and keep them active to prevent those easy throwing lane throws. All right, so the number 2 most common marking mistake I see is getting too close to the thrower. So typically the rules are here. You can't get within disc space of the thrower, and so if you get really within this space or even closer and I start getting too close, first of all, he can call disc space, add 2 seconds, but primarily if I have my hands out here and I'm trying to mark properly, Chris can get nice little break throws underneath my arms, or if I'm too close, he draws the contact and can get off an easy dumb pass. So getting too close is one, against the rules. He'll call disc space, but then also it's going to be easy for him to get off some break mark throws and a free throw on the backhand. Now number 3 is being too far away from the thrower. So maybe I'm tired, maybe I'm getting a little bit lazy because I'm winded, and if I'm too far back and I'm trying to prevent something, this really isn't going to be. Chris can throw some high throws, he can throw a round backhand. I have to cover a lot of ground if he pivots over, and it's just much too difficult to do that. So where we really want to be is about a disc and a half, 2 discs away from Chris, depending on the thrower and depending on your height. There's a few different variables, but then if I'm about this proper distance away, I can move with Chris as he moves along, okay? So don't get too close, don't get too far away. Okay, so the number 4 common marking mistake is having your feet too close together. So whether sometimes I'll see players around with their feet a little shoulder width apart and be a little higher upright, or they could have their feet close together and try to get low. But the problem with this is that if I'm trying to follow Chris when he's pivoting, I then have to keep shuffling my feet a little bit too much, and it takes me either a little bit too long to get here, or if Chris makes a quick move there and back, it's much harder for me to do that if my feet are closer together. So the number 5 common marking mistake is having your feet too far apart. So it's good to have a wide stance, but if I get too wide out here and try to get low, first of all, you start losing strength. Like I can already feel it here on the inside of my thighs that they're working really hard, and I am ready for this position here. But if Chris starts pivoting out, if he starts moving and I am too wide, I can get caught leaning one way or the other. So the right position is not having your feet too close, not getting too wide, because also the other thing is, okay, I'm ready, I can feel confident that I can go side to side, but good throwers are just gonna throw right over your arm, right? If I'm too wide, Chris and I are about the same height. If I'm too wide, Chris can just throw a little backhand right over my shoulder. He might even be able to get a high flick. Right? I mean, I have to then start going up with my arms. So the right place to be is a little bit past shoulder width apart, and that's going to make me have the best ability to move side to side in a quick manner. Okay, so the number 6 common marking mistake is pointing your toes out a little bit too far out to the side. And what that's going to do is, yes, it's good to have your toes pointed out, but if I have them too far, if Chris makes a pivot, I'm then starting to lean one direction instead of having more of a sideways pivot back if Chris pivots. So sometimes if I can get there, okay, great, I'm here, but if he pivots back, my foot is now pushing off of my toe, and it's not the best way. You want to push off of the ball of your feet from the side to then get back over, right? So same thing goes for the other side. If Chris pivots out to the flick and I'm here, it's harder for me to push back off when my toe is pointed this way in this direction. It's not oriented to go back the other way. All right, so the number 7 common marking mistake is getting caught leaning too far over. So I see a lot of new players sometimes, if Chris is pivoting and I think he's gonna make a big pivot over and I try to get there and I lean all the way over to stop that throw. Let's do that again. So Chris comes over and I go, oh, I stopped that. If I'm now leaning, my chest is over and past my knee. So getting back this way, if Chris were to go back, I have to go all the way back, and that requires a ton of force on your quad if I'm leaning over. So don't get caught leaning. If Chris pivots here, I'm here, my chest is still high, I can lean a little bit, but if my chest starts going low or even past my knee, that's what's gonna get me into trouble. So when you're pivoting and Chris moves over, I'm here, I bend with the knee, but keep the chest up, so if he pivots back, then I'm in a better position. All right, so number 8 on the most common marking mistakes I see is there's a lot of people that say, hey, get on your toes, get on the balls of your feet. And while that's technically true, I see some people take that to the extreme. So one thing that is good about being on your toes is it's good, you can be agile that way. So as Chris moves, I'm on my toes, you know, that's good, I can move with him, and that's great. But the problem with that is that if I'm on my toes and my heel is off the ground most of the time, then it makes it difficult for me to get power when I'm kind of moving. So as Chris kind of moves, I'm here, but I gotta make a few quick shuffles to get all the way across. Instead, you wanna be on your toes, but my feet should be flat on the ground, okay? My toes should be pointed out just a little bit. So as I'm working with Chris here, yes, I'm pushing off the insides of my feet, but also my heels and the inside of my foot. So as Chris moves, I'm pushing off the front here, and as Chris moves back, I'm here. It was just 2 shuffles across, and I can move all the way with him. All right, number 9 on the most common marking mistakes that I see is being too jumpy on the mark. So while it's good to move your hands and keep them active, one thing that I see sometimes is this kind of overuse of just moving randomly near your mark. And maybe at the very beginner level, this can have an impact to a new thrower, but against good throwers, yes, it's okay to be jumpy, but if you're just trying to move around, I could just give up an inside throw with the flick, or if in case I move over to the flick and he pivots over, I'm very far away. So what you want to do instead is, yes, you want to be active, but have active hands. No need to have these, big jumpy feet. If you want to do that and you just do that just once in a while, okay, fine. But if you're too jumpy and you're moving too much, one, you're wasting a lot of energy, but second of all, you're actually not going to be in your best position if you want to stop all of the break throws. So if you're low, your hands are active like this, you make Chris think about those flick break marks, or if he pivots to the backhand, I'm doing this, but my feet are rather stagnant and just pivoting with the thrower. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video on the most common marking mistakes that I see. If you have any other video ideas or things you want to see, drop them in the comments below. Thanks for watching.